in that way. And casting was a huge part of that. I was involved, from day one with finding this wonderful, talented pack of weirdos, to join our cast and to represent what friend circles look like these days, and to tackle these modern topics in a kind and thoughtful way. And then, other silly things like being, maybe on one occasion I was like, Sophie wouldn't do that. I just can't see Sophie doing that, and everyone's like, you know what, you're right. And Sophie, and it's so nice to have a little bit of pull in that way.
What I really love in the pilot, that like the first minute, you just have, a Tinder date and a Uber ride, which is something that is really different from, How I Met Your Mother. And do you think that in this sense, the show also reflects the fact that we have changed so much habits in like less than 50 years, and how much it's difficult nowadays to meet someone in person?
Thanks, Eva. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, my big sort of question when thinking about joining the show was, why do we need another one of these shows? Like, we just did How I Met Your Mother. Why now is it time to do a sort of a sequel to this? And I think one of the big things that has changed since the original is how much of our life is digital now, how much of our life is online, is communicated through apps, whether that's work or relationships or just the way that we communicate. And I think that there just really there aren't a lot of shows that really get to explore that new dating kind of landscape. And what I love about our show also is that as we're exploring these new ways to connect, there's no judgment as to whether or not it's the right way to connect or the only way to connect. It's just another way to connect. And at the end of the day, even if it's easier to know that there's a single person 2 blocks away from you, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's any easier to fall in love, and that at the end of the day, what I think binds all of these people together is their friendship, is this sense of community, is this sense of looking across in real time to another breathing, living human being and finding that connection. That's kind of what gets us through the tough times in our life. And it's, I think, a really great thing to be exploring, especially after almost 2 years of us all living in isolation. I mean, just think, you guys, we should normally be in like a cramped hotel room together right now. And instead we have to do it like this, hopefully next year we won't have to. Yeah.
The world has changed since 2005 when the original came out. The world of dating has certainly changed since 2005. And the show that we're to make now has to reflect that change, whether that be with, Uber and the sorts, or more importantly with the move on to digital dating, and this invention that, we were told was going to make dating easier, but definitely hasn't.
Yeah. Also, it does carry on with the similarity of, and this is like a universal thing, but the means by which you get to these things change, but friendship and love and things like that, they don't really change, right? Like, those things are the same. Those things are what we're driving at and going for through all these little tech bits, right? And I think that's where, like, those are some of the themes that carries on from How I Met Your Mother, and the world we live in is what makes it new and changes it and creates a different space and atmosphere for it. So that's my 2 bits.